Hey, you guys. So, this is what's good for Brittany's new book, The Woman in Me. The reason I wanted to talk about this book is I just thoroughly enjoyed it, like, honestly. I do feel like, though, like, there's two different sets of pools when it comes to, hey, I want to read this book. You're either are a super fan of Britney's, maybe you've been listening to her music and you know a little bit in regards to Britney. Maybe you've been to some of her shows. You in some way, shape, or form know of Britney, super fan of Britney. Okay. The other pool is utter curiosity, I feel like. Maybe you've heard a little bit in regards to some of the stories that were coming out a little bit before the book was actually released to everyone. And so you were like, oh, I'm a little curious. Like, maybe you know of, all the situations that we would hear within the media of what was kind of going on with Britney, the conservatorship, all of that. Like, yeah, maybe you know a little bit of the songs, but you are more like just curious in regards to what all does she have to say when it comes to the book. I am kind of like in the middle, I'm someone who, I would say, when Britney started to become popular, that's when like I was real young. So like my mom had the CDs, and then I would say when I was about 6, I would listen to them. They would like replay some of the old music videos. Some of her newer stuff was then coming out. And then as, different hits started coming, out, would see those. And I don't know, like she was just a performer that I really enjoyed. I liked her music. Mind you, I don't know all of her songs, like every single song off of every single album, but enjoyed what I heard. Saw her in Vegas, knew of different things with her being in the Mickey Mouse Club, started to know about her conservatorship, I would say last year, once that, I would say started to become more common knowledge, and then with the like documentaries that were coming out in regards to the Free Britney movement. So, there was that, but then also I was just generally curious. I was like, what is all in this book that in regards to her finally telling her story, what does she have to share? Because I do feel like I mean, there's multiple reasons why celebrities write these. It ultimately, though, is, hey, these are stories I have not shared maybe with anyone yet. And this is finally maybe the time that they feel comfortable. This is the time where they're like, hey, I want to share everything that has happened. I want to tell my side instead of it, maybe being ambiguous or it still being private. So, when it comes to what is all in this book, it is all in chronological order, okay? So, from the beginning of the book, it is essentially history. So she does go into a little bit of background when it comes to her family history, how her parents were raised, into her early childhood. And then the end of the book is essentially, I would say, mid to late 2022, essentially what she's up to now. And everything in between, anything that Britney's been a part of, with her, again, being a child star, being in the Mickey Mouse Club, becoming a pop superstar, Justin Timberlake, Kevin, kids, conservatorship, Vegas, anything that she has, like that you have heard of, that she has been a part of, it is in this book. Like, it is here. There was one instance where I was surprised that she even mentioned it, because, and I don't want to spoil anything within this book. So if I put the link down, I'll make sure to say spoiler, because this was something, one, I was not expecting that she would even mention. It wasn't I would say a big part of her life. It just happened and she talked about it. And so I'm just very surprised that she talks about it at all. Not saying that that's a bad thing. I was just really surprised. So I very much recommend, if you were interested at all when it comes to reading this book, give it a read. She really does dive deep into a lot of her feelings, And when it comes to a lot of those situations, again, when it comes to the tabloids, the media, those stories that we would see, and the different coverage that, I like to call it one-sided, because yes, at the time we really weren't getting, hey, what's going through your mind, Britney? She goes into that. She says, this was going through my mind. This is what was happening, mentally, emotionally, physically, and she really didn't have anybody. So, she really talks about her behavior as a person, who she is. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. And I think, too, again, with the kind of the conservatorship thing, she even says if people are dealing with something similar in regards to a conservatorship, this is kind of some, like, almost like telling my story. Hopefully, all stories are not like that, but this is kind of like a cautionary tale, you know, you have kind of my situation to look at. Now, if you are in kind of the same boat, if you are maybe experiencing the same thing, you know what to kind of look for and deal with. So I think a lot of people can get different things out of this book, but I do see where, yeah, you either A, have to really enjoy Britney, or you just have that sheer curiosity, and maybe it doesn't really matter that it is about Britney. I think that really just depends on the person. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. Wanted to give kind of my thought process. I thought it was a good read. The chapters are not super long, so if you find that something, if that's something that you almost find daunting, don't. Like, they're not super long. So I very much enjoyed it. Hope you do too if you give it a read. If you have read it, feel free to leave your thoughts down below, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.